Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, and welcome to Energy Speaks Back, powered by Hark. My name is Paul Webb, and I'm your host. And weekly, I present to you experts from around the world. And today we are in Ohio, USA. And our purpose, as always, is to provide a good understanding of energy management knowledge from around the world, which is available today for us to deliver energy savings that impact on our planet. So before I get into today's interview, I would like to recognize our sponsors, who are Clean Energy Revolution, who provide knowledge and networking in the renewable world, B2B Energy for their energy management and driving down organizations' third largest expense, Hark Systems, renowned for their energy software, EcoSync, who are a heating solution provider, specifically radiator control in areas that are unoccupied. We have Alexis Energy from Australia, who are developing power management systems. We have LED Vision, who are a LED and controls company. We have Symewatts for their electronics and EV transition, and Black Carbon, who are a waste to energy organization in America. And lastly, we have our certificate partners, who are Esther Energy. They help us provide CPD hours for people listening to our podcast, and also for our training we provide regarding the certified global energy experts. So welcome to episode 53, and Energy Speaks Back is really proud to be introducing this guest today. And our guest today is the founder of NXTGEN, Clean Energy Solutions. And they are responsible for solar, battery storage, electrical vehicle charging, solar light poles, and in helping organizations and businesses improve on their bottom line and their environment. So without any further ado, I give you Russ Bates. Good morning, Russ, and how are you today?
I'm good. How are you doing, Paul?
I'm very well, and I think we've got a respectable morning for you. It's about 10 o'clock there, did you say earlier?
Yeah, about 10 o'clock here in the morning. So, perfect time for me.
Good. Normally when I interview people from America, they have to get up a bit earlier. So maybe we've got our sensible heads on today, and we're just doing our normal day, so it's great.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Russ, we've met through LinkedIn, as most of my guests have all met, and we're both members of Clean Energy Revolution. We've both had various meetings, so I've started to get to know you. You've been one of my fans and buying my books, so thank you very much for that. But Russ, for the benefit of our audience today, can you give us some background and tell us about yourself?
Sure. So I grew up in what I affectionately refer to as coal country of the state of Southern Indiana. I grew up actually on an abandoned coal mine that shut down back in the 1940s. Found out my great grandfather actually worked in that mine. And I came up as an electrician, an IBEW electrician, working mostly at these fossil fuel power generation facilities. Made a great living, learned a lot. There's a lot of amazing talent in the fossil fuel industry. And as my career progressed, I decided I wanted to transition into clean energy. I'd always been a fan, always thought, there's a lot of promise in clean energy. And as the years have gone on and the technology's advanced, we're seeing that promise, realized today. And I was really intrigued with the progress made and just decided to go ahead and transition. And whenever I did that, there's these large projects, these large utility scale projects. So 50, 100, 200 megawatt projects. Those are fantastic utility scale projects. And then the other end of the spectrum, you have the smaller projects. That's your residential homeowner who's, they're putting 15 kW system on their house type of thing. And then you have those folks in the middle between the great big projects and the small residential projects. And I really didn't see anyone servicing those folks. And I didn't see too many of these projects being built And who's that affect? It really affects small businesses. And in the US, that's really the lifeblood of the economy. And I thought it was pretty unfortunate. I started doing a lot of research and found out really no one's reaching out to these folks for, say, a 100 kW project or a 50 kW project. Nice project, and it's beneficial to everyone, but it's not a big moneymaker for the PPAs and investor types, and it's too big for a lot of the residential folks. So decided I wanted to help in that regard. Determined the best way to really make a difference, Paul, was to become a small business myself and really target and help small businesses, small municipalities, but really anyone and everyone who's interested in taking advantage of clean energy. And so we started NXTGEN Clean Energy Solutions. We work with, businesses, municipalities, whoever, to provide solar, battery storage, electric vehicle charging stations, and also started to look into some micro wind turbines as well. So that's really where we got started, and have had an amazing response. This is an area that, I think was neglected, not on purpose. It just certainly wasn't low-hanging fruit to a lot of people. So that's kind of where we're at. That's what we're all about.
So an interesting story there. You've used the word transition. So you was in the coal industry, on generation side. Yeah, you was working on a power station. Yeah.
Correct. Yeah, I've been from one end of the coal burner to the next. From the coal yards, working on conveyors, rewiring those, all the way up to the end, the scrubber, being up on the stacks, changing those aviation lights. So from one end to the next, my best friend who still lives in Indiana, he's a coal miner to this day. He actually goes underground and he's bringing it up, type of thing. So been all over it.
So before I was, my background was nuclear power, but before I was allowed to go to nuclear power, we had to be 18. Obviously, I was in my apprenticeship from 16. So between 16, which in fact 17 in the end, from 17 to 18, I wasn't allowed to go to my mother power station. I had to go to the coal-fired power stations, and I could not believe the dust and the grime and the amount. It wasn't a nice job compared to where I worked in the nuclear power station. I could eat my dinner off the floor.
Right.
You wouldn't want to, because it's obviously nuclear, but what I mean is it's so dusty and dirty. And the jobs we would do, you're right. 1 minute we'd be on the conveyors, we'd be on the boilers, hot, sweaty. You'll be working on the turbines. You'd be maybe working outside on the roofs and things. And I didn't like heights. So I didn't like doing those aviation lights and just changing them lamps. That's a job.
Exactly. Well, and everything's so corroded too. I mean, you're climbing up those ladders, right? And is that rung going to hold? You hope so, but I've been on a few. They're questionable. Like, I'm glad I'm tied off. So, but yeah, it's different. I've come out of those coal conveyors, and especially in the summer when you're sweating and it just gets embedded into your skin. Looks like you have mascara on. Come out looking like Alice Cooper type of thing. It's just a kind of a mess. So I definitely like the transition to clean energy, because it's literally clean. That's a definite benefit.
Now, the training that you must have gone through and the knowledge that you'd gained, and I'm presuming it's matchable to the stuff I was doing. We not only learned how to do the simple connect wire A to wire to terminal B, we also learned how to fault find. There would be a whole range of stuff that you would have covered. Tell us about your experience there.
Yeah, I went through a 5-year apprenticeship program through the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers. So, very good program. You learn mostly on the job as an apprentice, and still after you complete that apprenticeship, you're learning every day, right? You try to get as much exposure as possible, but yeah, you'll figure out voltage drop, cable sizes, conduit, raceway sizes, this and that. I was really able to work with a lot of fantastic electrical engineers They once they got to know me, and because I'm a young kid at 20 years ago working with these guys, I'm just who am I? I'm just a little guy in there. So as they saw me as having some talent, they started coming to me and saying, "All right, hey Russ, we've got this project. We know what we want it to be. We have a concept, but we don't know how to actually put it together. What's the constructability of this?" So you would actually do the design and show them how to do the installation and perform that installation. So really was able to get in on a lot of detailed design past the conceptual phase. But the apprenticeship helped quite a bit. Just the basics that you learn, and then the advanced stuff as you work in the trade for a while. I haven't worked with my tools since 2005. I completed the apprenticeship in 2000, and in those 5 years, I learned a lot, had a chance to advance. But it was mostly from the IBEW, learning that, and then the exposure I was able to have working with engineers, different project managers, just coming up with solutions. Here's a problem. How can we fix it? And I really always enjoyed that. I thought that was a lot of fun. Definitely made the job pretty enjoyable and fulfilling.
And you're still doing the hands-on stuff now?
Yeah, as far as design and stuff, certainly. Yeah, with NXTGEN, that's part of the job I love is meeting with clients, figuring out what's their specific need, what do they want to accomplish, number one, and then what's their facility able to accommodate. Because there's no cookie cutter. It's not one size fits all. There's similar facilities, but you have to go through and say, all right, a roof mount system is going to be great for solar here, and we can do some battery storage here. Or wait, we're going to have to do a ground mount over here because you don't have the real estate on the roof. Just kind of figuring that stuff out. And I won't say the detailed design as far as how many panels and that kind of stuff, but getting the preliminary design in place for those EPCs to get the details in. Yeah, we do that.
What are your challenges on a daily basis, Ross, when you're doing this work?
Challenges, it's very, very much a similar challenge, and that's the education part of it. Whenever I'm talking to small business owners or managers or whoever those decision makers may be, they don't, most of the time they aren't considering renewable energy. They've heard about it. They've seen, the Amazon commercials of, net zero and all that stuff, and that's fantastic. But they don't feel that they're in that league. Can we do these projects? Well, Amazon's doing it, Google, Apple, but I'm just small business here in Northeast Ohio, for example. How can I take advantage of that? And they kind of push it away and don't think it's for them. It's for someone else, a bigger company. And to be able to educate them about here's the savings you're going to have, here's the tax incentives. Here's what you're going to be able to do for the environment, and kind of explaining all that. It is so important. And I would say the biggest challenge is actually being able to sit down and get the time with those individuals to go through it. Because once they get it, it's like, okay, yeah, let's go. Let's figure this out and move. It's just getting to the table and talking with these folks and going through that explanation and education process.
And typically, what's your return on investment on projects like this?
The ROIs for solar, we try to get those definitely under 10 years. Where our shooting goal is always in that 7 to 8 year range with your tax incentives and that type of thing. So 10 years and under is what we shoot for. Now, there's projects that sometimes it's over that for whatever reason. We're working with a client right now who's a nonprofit, so they can't take advantage of those tax incentives. So they're looking at I think 11.3 years for a full return, which you factor in those tax incentives, they're in the 7 year range. So it's ideal. So you work through those types of things with them. And
then the life cycle of that product, what's the life cycle?
The solar panels, they're 30 plus years now. Right. I always tell people it's 25 to 30. The inverters are going to have to be replaced before then, and that's in the 12 to 15 year range for the inverters. So you put a system in, you're going to have a while before you really have to do anything. There's no typical maintenance. I mean, as long as the panels stay clean and, you don't have something eroding away the wiring and stuff, which you typically don't, it's going to kind of take care of itself.
Yeah. You mentioned tax incentives from the government, but in America, it's state by state, isn't it? They're all different incentives. Not one size fits all regarding America. Tell us about some of your challenges that you're having there. Do you fit across different states, or are you in just one state?
We're across a few states, Ohio, West Virginia. We're talking in Pennsylvania, Indiana. I got some folks reaching out in Kentucky and Illinois, and it does vary. If you get on the coast like California or into New York, it's a different story than in the Midwest, where this clean energy revolution we talk about, it's starting to hit. People are starting to jump on it, but not all the states have adopted it, so to speak. You have different politicians who have different goals, different incentives themselves, and they're not always grabbing hold to what clean energy can do. And I tell people, clean energy, it's about helping the environment, absolutely, but for businesses, it's going to save them money. It's going to increase their property value. It's going to help the economy with all these new jobs and the transition from fossil fuel jobs to these clean tech jobs. But a state like Ohio, they do push back a bit on it. I had an article about, I think it's Excel, one of these utilities that's taking forever to get these projects to be put online and connected. And it's, it really varies. These politicians are not always looking out, in my opinion, for the best of the environment and for the best of the economy in a lot of states. So it varies. That's not a great answer to your question, but that's kind of what we see.
We're getting a feel for things.
Yeah, it's very political, very political.
Yeah, I've gathered that. And then you've got the suppliers in the mix of all that. How many suppliers are really bought into solar? Because solar of higher value in consumption wise in the UK, we do suffer from that limitations, because they say that we call it the district network operator. So getting solar connected in, we have to be aware of exporting. So we have relays in there to stop the exporting from happening and things like that. So have you got alliances with the solar, with the energy companies? Are they working with you, or are they trying to create even more challenges?
The utilities in general are not super friendly for renewables. And I get it. I mean, I put myself in their position, and all right, my revenue is going to go down because someone else is producing for themselves and maybe producing for others what I was producing before. So I'm not going to get paid for that. I get it, but there's not a whole lot of acceptance from many of the utility companies, which I understand that part, but at the same time, if I were them, I would be looking to put these renewables in all over the place, developing these projects. And, it's kind of like the horse and buggy transitioning to the automobile. Mm-hmm. This is what's happening. It's cheaper. It's the way to go. Everybody's embracing it, except for, these utility companies, many of them. And I don't want to throw them all into that bucket, but I haven't seen too many that say, yeah, let's go with solar and wind. Some do it, and I think it's probably controversial to say, but I think it's more of a PR move as opposed to really embracing it. Because there's a ton of opportunity that I see every day where you can transition over pretty quickly. Again, there's pie for everybody. Everybody can have a slice of that. If I was utilities, I'd be driving that myself, but that's not who I am.
Okay, let's go back to your the days in the power station. Do you still speak to your ex-colleagues, or it's a long time ago?
No, I still stay in touch with them. I talk with them. They're actually very supportive. I actually have one who reached out whenever I I just launched the company, and he sent me a message. He said, "What are you trying to, run me out of a job?" And I'm like, "No," and explained it to him. He's like, "Oh, okay," and again, it goes back to that education piece. Whenever you talk to them and explain exactly what's going on, instead of just tuning into a certain news network that maybe isn't renewable friendly, and they just spit out their talking points. When you actually get into it, it makes a lot of sense. Even my best friend, the coal miner, is like, "Yeah, I get it. I totally get it. Let's see what we can do." And he's interested in making a transition too. So it's that education piece that I think is so important.
We are going to see that transition, that migration of that industry into the clean tech industries, I believe, long term. And it's not as if that can't happen. And we're making space for that to happen as well, aren't we? Because we need the technology capability from what we're doing is needed. So, and we're making that available.
Absolutely. The skill level with these folks is, top notch. I know if I can transition over to clean energy, anybody can. There's a lot more skilled, tradesmen out there than what I am. And to be able to move in, it's going to be very simple. And I think they're really going to enjoy it. We've got some larger projects we're associated with, and the folks have worked at combined cycle plants, for example, fossil fuel plants, whatever, and have come into these projects. And I talked to them, how do you like this? Do you like doing this better than this? And how do you like to pay? And they're like, yeah, it's something they really enjoy and want to do more of.
We all know we're all here to earn money, to put food on our for our family on the table. Is there any other incentives that you have personally that's sort of making you and drives you every day, that really sort of pushes you down this road of clean energy?
Yeah, I mean, you make a great point that you got to put food on the table, take care of the family, and that's certainly a driver. For me, yeah, I've noticeably made a change the last several years. 20 years ago, if you brought up, the term was more global warming. Whenever that was brought up to me, I was like, I don't know if I see it. I think that's maybe the cycle of the earth. Every few hundred years, it warms up a little bit and then it'll cool back down. That was me 20 years ago as a single guy. Fast forward to just a few years ago, and certainly today, I look at it a lot different. I think the evidence is there. There's definitely a climate change. Certainly, in my mind, I'll go with a climate crisis that needs to be addressed. And 20 years ago, again, I was a single guy. Today, I've got 3 beautiful stepchildren, a beautiful wife, and I think about them. They're very passionate about it. They see what's going on. They're smart kids. And that's why we call the company NXTGEN. It's, shortened it up from next generation, because I think everybody's got their next generation, right? Mm. For me, it's my stepkids that, have really changed my life. For you, it's someone else. For everybody, they've got their own next generation. And having to address climate change, it's imperative we do it now. That's a big driver for me. And I get up, I'm excited every day to come into the office. I'm excited to go out and talk with clients and say, hey, you're going to be able to do this and this and this. And, of course, you're going to be able to help the environment. Everyone's driver is a little different. Some, it's more so the bottom line, and clean energy certainly is beneficial there. Some, it's more so for the environment, but they all kind of meet at the same place. And that's really exciting for me to work on. So I'm pretty passionate about it.
Are you conscious of we talked about carbon footprint earlier before we come online. Are you conscious about your carbon footprint and your traveling?
Absolutely. It started for me whenever, I was a kid. You shut off the lights, right? You don't leave the water running.
We've had that conversation as well, haven't we?
Yeah. I mean, my dad was on me, hey, you turn a light off, and now it's just automatic. I leave the room. Even if I'm going to walk back in there, a minute later, I'm shutting the light I wear out those light switches, turn them on and off. But yeah, very cognizant of that. And like I have an electric vehicle I drive. I love it. Happy to use it. Love talking to people about it and letting them see, okay, hey, this is pretty cool, right? And
I was thinking about that when I was talking to you, and I thought, do I ask him? Because he's quite a big built guy. Is he going to get in his electric car every day, or is he going to get into his truck every day and drive around? I wasn't too sure, and I didn't really want to go down this avenue of questioning, but you said it, so it's great. What do you drive?
I drive a Tesla Model S.
Wow.
Yeah. I really like it. It's not a new one. It's 2015, but I just love it. Got a great deal on it, low mileage, and the kids love it. The wife, she actually has a lease right now. It's an internal combustion engine vehicle that she got a couple years ago. So that lease runs out. We're gonna get her an electric vehicle too.
Excellent.
She loves it. So, and it is a transition. We don't expect anybody to just snap their fingers and do that, but hey, your next vehicle, maybe you should think about that. Hey, you're putting a roof on your house, maybe look at putting solar on there. Same with businesses. So we know it takes a minute, but you got to start thinking about it and making that plan and acting on that plan. And that's what we're doing. We're trying to lead by example a little bit.
Brilliant. And how many people work in your company?
Right now, it's me and just a few others. We're a startup, so we don't have a lot. I've got a lot of contract help that does stuff like social media and just reaching out to people on LinkedIn. I've got a researcher. Actually, we just hired an intern yesterday who's going to be doing a lot of research for us and trying to identify, places we want to go and talk to these businesses that it'd be a good fit. So I know my family helped me quite a bit with what we're doing, but we work with a lot of partners. So EPCs that we were able to communicate with and do projects with, vendor partners. We've got a pretty, I'd say, a sizable team of people we work with and try to partner with. And it's been a really good, mutually beneficial relationship. And we're looking to expand it. It's growing.
What's in store for the future regarding NXTGEN? What's your plans for the future?
Well, we're working on a few things. I mentioned the IBEW. We're working with them for all of their facilities in Ohio and West Virginia, offering PPA and financing for their union halls, their training facilities. The same thing with EV charging for all of these facilities. So we've got, I want to say, 18 different facilities with the IBEW we're just starting with right now. That's been something we started here the last couple of months, talking with the international in DC, and we'd like to spread that across the U.S. and offer that up to these union halls who maybe they were slow, and like a lot of small businesses, COVID did affect the revenue. So they may not have the money to put into a capital project, but we're able to bring, no upfront cost type of PPAs and financing options for them. And a lot of people really want to take advantage of that. So that with the small businesses, we're working on some larger projects with some municipalities too, larger solar projects. There's quite a bit, electric vehicle charging stations. That's a big one. We're trying to bring those because it's desperately needed. As an EV driver, I'm really struggling at times to find a place to plug in.
You've got your incentives there, haven't you?
Absolutely. It's a big incentive for me to find a place I can constantly plug in and everything's going to be good. We're also working on some community solar projects, trying to get those developed. And I'm sure you're familiar with those, but in areas where you may not be able to put a solar system close to a residence or business, but there's an area that we're targeting brownfield sites to put these solar projects on and use them as community solar. We're working very closely with several small municipalities to bring clean energy to them as well. So we've got quite a bit in the pipeline that we're working on.
Sounds really exciting, Russ. Really exciting. So Russ,
it is.
It's at this stage of my podcast that I see the smile coming to your face. That I like to put my guests on the spot and really ask them, is there anything they can give back to our industry today as a takeaway?
Yeah, I think I would echo what I was saying earlier. It's to help educate people for what clean energy can bring them. There's so many talking points. There's so much, I'll say, misinformation that's put out there. I was a victim of it. I just heard a talking point. I'm like, okay, that must be it. But I really encourage people to go out and research for themselves. That's what I did, and that's what I like to provide to clients, prospective clients, really anybody that I talk to. If I'm charging at a Dunkin' Donuts and someone comes up and wants to talk, I love to talk to them about whether it's EVs or solar, battery storage, wind, whatever it is. So I guess the easy answer, if it is, would be to provide that education to everybody that's interested in it, because I think it's important for everyone. I really do.
Yeah, knowledge is important to make the awareness. That's why I've created the art of energy management, which is art being awareness, art being the sort of providing the reward from energy management, and see the training side of it. But we really focus on A as the awareness and making everyone aware of what can be achieved. And that's sort of one of, I'd like to underline that. I think it's very important. I like the way you said, when I pulled up to the Dunkin' Donuts, that do you let your wife know that you're going there to get a charge? You just drink the coffee,
yeah.
don't you? You don't go in and have the Dunkin' Donuts.
No. Well, no, I do at times. I won't say I never do. They've got some good donuts there, but yeah, I'll plug in, be in there for a half hour, pull the computer out and get a drink and kind of relax. But it's amazing the conversations you'll have around a charging station. It really is.
We're really behind the curve regarding things like that. I think I've only seen that once recently, where a guy's been sitting in a supermarket with just one, with his Tesla on one charging point. We're not, like, I'm going to go shopping later, there won't be a charging place there. So we're behind the curve. We need to get more charging points. I hope they're nowhere near Dunkin' Donuts, because I struggle with my weight. I'm going to be eating too much. Starbucks would be great because I can just grab a coffee, but sort of food wise.
I was at a meeting at Starbucks just yesterday, and I was looking, all right, we could do charging stations like this and do this. We could actually do solar canopy charging stations and be self-sufficient type of thing.
Yeah.
And that's something else we do with like charging stations. We look at, what are you going to do in the future? Do you need 10 charging stations now? Well, maybe not. Maybe you just need one. Let's make provisions as far as the conduit raceway and everything out there, so you can easily add on in the future when you need to. And I've had folks say, yeah, I want to put 8 charging stations in. I'm like, well, that sounds great, but I think you only need 1 or 2 today, but we'll have you set up for the ones down the road. Because that's really important. You hate for people to put out money that it's not going to be beneficial to them at that exact moment or soon down the road. So,
and then you've got to balance fast charging and trickle charging or whatever, there's that, because then you imagine all those 8 points at fast charging. That's a significant amount of load and cost that's going to be required.
And that's great with my electrical background, because I can do that design that we were talking about. We can do this and this, and I'll bring my car in there to show them, hey, here's where we want to position it and why. And we're going to plug in like this, but this model you're going to plug in like this. If we orientate it this way, it's going to be beneficial to both. I've gone to some charging stations. You're like, I don't even know how I'm going to get in there to plug in. It's not going to fit. How am I going to do it? The cord's not long enough. We want to make it very friendly for these EV drivers to come in and use it, because before long, we're going to look back and say, wow, you remember driving internal combustion engine vehicles. It's moving pretty quickly in that direction, that everybody's going to be driving EVs sooner than they think.
Well, Russ, look, it's been really great catching up. I really enjoy when we always have a good conversation about all the different things we're both doing, and it's really great to catch up with you today. I'd like to say thank you for joining us and sharing the insights. and more importantly, sort of sharing the fact that you've done this transition from coal-fired power station to green tech, which for me was the highlight of today's podcast. So thank you very much for coming along.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
Brilliant. And Russ, please, you and your family, stay safe.
Likewise. Thank you.
Thank you to our special guest today, and thank you to our sponsors, who are B2B Energy, reducing your third largest expense. And you can find out more about B2B Energy on www.b2benergy.co.uk. And that leaves me with just one more thing to say. Be safe.